book fighters. It's Wednesday, it's Sarah, and I've just finished reading Geektastic by a bunch of people. Geektastic is a book. Yes, this is a book. It's, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Anthology. It's an anthology of short stories about geeks. It's pretty awesome. I enjoyed all the stories for the most part. Some definitely a lot more than others. Some are just kind of like meh, and some I really, really liked. I think my biggest issue with the book, though, is in John Green's story. Wasn't expecting that to be the one that I had the biggest issue with. But he says, yeah, I'm just going to show it to you. DR period who. That was my biggest issue with the book, because I was just like, I hate it when I see things that do that, so I saw that, and I was just like, and it was in John's story too, so it was just like, But yeah, definitely recommend this book. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, because I have a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I forget most of them. Okay, 3 books I would take with me on a desert island. Wow, this was a long time ago. Deathly Hallows, even though I generally consider Prisoner of Azkaban to be my favorite Harry Potter book, I would take Deathly Hallows because it is longer, it's the one that I read more, and it's sort of tied for favorite anyway. So it's the one that I go back and just read parts of more often. So I would take Deathly Hallows. What's the other book I would take? Oh, the other book I would take is Lord of the Rings, just all of it in one volume. That counts. Yes, it does. Because then maybe I would finally actually finish it. And the third book, I had a lot of difficulty figuring this out. So I'm going to tell you the third book, and then I'm going to tell you the other 2 sort of runner-up books that I was considering. The third book is Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Because, you know, it's awesome. And my 2 other ones that I was considering were the complete works of Shakespeare and the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe. I think of those 2, I would take Poe over Shakespeare because I like Poe more. But I ultimately decided on Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide, because if I'm going to be stuck on a desert island, I'd rather have hilarious absurdity of penguins writing Hamlet than, you know, Poe. Who, I love his writing, but let's face it, he's not a happy guy. So, yeah, I'd want something that would be funny. So, I went for Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide. Yeah. Okay, next question that I can remember, and I'm sorry about all the questions that I'm forgetting. I was gonna go back and rewatch all the videos to make a list of the questions, but I had stuff to do for school and the novella to write, which I haven't even started writing yet, and yeah, so that didn't happen, so I'll try and do that at some point. Yeah, favorite musical, or 3 musicals, Rent, because it's just awesome, and Hairspray, because every time I listen to the Hairspray cast recording, it just makes me happy. It's just, I love that musical. And, yeah. And the third one has changed since I recorded this video, and the video answering this question the first time, that got screwed up so many times that it never got uploaded, is Spring Awakening. Um, yeah, I don't want to take super long to explain why for all of those. But yeah, those are my 3 favorite: Rent, Hairspray, and Spring Awakening. I think. At this moment in time. Yeah. Why am I making a weird face? I don't know. This is strange. I have no idea what that was. Julia's question was, what else have we been reading? And basically, book fighters and fanfiction. I don't have time to read a bunch of other stuff. Although I did just read, well, a couple weeks ago now, Turn of the Screw for my creative writing class. It was one of our assignments. And it was kind of interesting because I was one of the only people in class to actually read the book, and we had a week to read it, and it's a novella, and it's short, and I'm pretty sure Dan read it for Book Fighters. And my teacher was like, now, those of you who actually read it, how did you manage to get through it? And everybody else that actually read it, the, like, 3 other people, or 4 other people, I don't know, well, like, oh yeah, it was kind of hard to get through that whole thing in a week, and it's short, it's not that long. I'm just like, I read a book every week. I read a book this week, and I read Turn of the Screw. It's not a long book. It wasn't difficult. So I got to feel smart in class for once. It's good to be a nerd. Book that you would recommend to anyone. This one was really hard, because the first thing that came to my mind when I heard that was A Swiftly Tilting Planet, because there's just so many different layers of things in there that I think kind of anyone could enjoy it. And then I remember that Dan exists. I was like, oh, Dan would not like this book, because all the reasons that you didn't like A Wrinkle in Time would probably make you hate A Swiftly Tilting Planet even more. Just, yeah. This is a really hard question for me, because when I recommend books, it's either, like, in a general book fighter sort of way, I read this book, this is a good book, yes, I would say you should read this, as opposed to, no, don't read this book, it sucks. Or it's, I have gotten to know you, I know what kinds of books you like, I know what your personality is like, I know what experiences you've had that you could relate to this book particularly. Like, for instance, when I recommended Lauren read Druids, I knew she loves Celtic mythology and hates Romans, and if you love Celtic anything and you hate Romans, then that book is perfect for you. Or, for instance, to anybody who I know has either been raped or abused in any way or bullied at all in any way, I would recommend Speak, because that is a really excellent book. And, like, there are just so many different things that I would recommend to different specific types of people, but to recommend one book to absolutely anyone is really, really hard. So, yeah. I mean, part of me wants to say Harry Potter, because I think everybody should read Harry Potter, but that seems kind of too easy, and it's more than one book. Ugh. I don't know. I think I am just going to go with The Swiftly Tilting Planet, because it is my absolute favorite book, and there are a lot of varying different things in that book. Yeah. I know it's not a book that everyone would like, but it's a book that I think everyone should read. Yeah. the question about books that a specific copy is special to you. This was kind of hard for me to think of, and then I remembered, well, I didn't really remember. I was going through my paint box to see what paint I had and whether or not I had any turpentine linseed oil. Turns out I am out of linseed oil, and I don't know what happened to the bottle even, so that's weird, because that shouldn't be empty. But I came across this, which is an incredibly beat up, tied together with a piece of elastic string copy of this book called How to Draw and Paint that I carried around in my purse pretty much the entirety of junior and senior year of high school. This book was my mom's when she was in high school, I think. And I'm pretty sure, because I got it from a bunch of her old art supplies that were stored out in her garage. So, and it was in a cigar box that she kept pencils and brushes and stuff in that had a big 76 painted on it. So I'm guessing that she decorated that in 1976. So this book is old. It has linseed oil stains all over it because I kept it in my paint box after I stopped keeping it in my purse. So yeah, this book. Another one is my original copy that I had of A Swiftly Tilting Planet. Thinking of which, I did read A Swiftly Tilting Planet the other week for Book Fighters, but I have so much that I want to say about that. I'm going to get the questions out of the way in this video, and I'll talk about Swiftly Tilting Planet in another video. I've recorded a video talking about Swiftly Tilting Planet twice now, and haven't been able to get either of them to upload, and they both ended up getting deleted, or corrupted, and everything hates me. It just does. So, Swiftly Tilting Planet I also carried around in my purse for the entirety of junior and senior year of high school and half of sophomore year. Yeah. I had to have a large bag of some sort so that I could carry all these books around, because I always had those two with me, and then whatever book I was reading at the time, and a sketchbook, and probably a smaller sketch pad, and like 3 different notebooks that I was writing various stuff in, and a box of colored pencils, and a bunch of regular sketching pencils, and a bunch of pens, and various random stuff for school, like a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, and then the other one is a copy of a book that I'm going to talk about in a moment, called Megan's Island, that I got when I was a kid at a book sale that is held every year at my mom's old college. At least I'm pretty sure that's where that book came from. But I just got really attached to that book and that particular copy, and I read it so many times, and the cover's falling off, and it's in Pennsylvania right now, and I'm pretty sure it's in a box somewhere, which makes me really sad because I want it. But I'm going to talk about that. Okay, now know there are a bunch more questions that I need to answer. This video is getting really long, so I'm going to answer them in another video. But I want to ask you questions. 2 questions, actually. A while ago, I talked about this earlier in this video. We did the book recommendation exchange, and at the time, we mentioned how we might do that a bunch more times so that everybody had to recommend a book to another specific person in the group. And so I was just thinking, if we still want to do that, we should probably do our next thing of that soon, because we're running out of time. That's question 1. Do we still want to do that? And if we do, when are we going to get on that? Is question 1. Question 2 is favorite book from your childhood that's not in a series. So, no Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia, or any book that's in a series, but one individual standalone book that was your favorite book that you read as a kid, like elementary school read, not later. So, yeah. Mine is Megan's Island by Willow Davis Roberts. I used to remember that, but I don't anymore. And yeah, I really, really wish that I had that out here and it wasn't in Pennsylvania so that I could read that for book fairy sometime. Like, finals would be good. But yeah, so that's my question for you. Favorite book that you read in your childhood, elementary school, or earlier, which I don't know if that makes any sense to Dan. Like, 10, you read it when you were like 10 or earlier, I guess, would be a good way to put it, that's not nationally based. Yeah. So, for next week, I'm going to read, I need to read something really, really short, because I have stuff to write for creative writing, stuff to do for rotoscoping, my chapter of the novella to write, WonderCon to go to all weekend, and a matte painting to plan and execute that will be my final project for astronomy, and also my entry to spring show that, if it gets in, will be seen by potential future employers. Oh, God. I'm going to read City of Ember, because that's a children's book. So I should be able to get through that. Oh, God, I have so much to do. Now I'm going to stay up all night writing, and Katie, I'll see you tomorrow.